first made this channel to discuss my love of Asian cinema, particularly that of Korea and Japan, the horror films, the revenge films of the late 90s, the early 2000s, which really opened my eyes to something different. Part of that process is to discover new films that I've never seen before, films that offer a different perspective on life. And I recently came across the film Maborosi, a 1995 movie directed by Hirokazu Kore-eda. It's a film that I had not heard much about until I sat down and watched it. But what I experienced, I didn't know I was looking for this, but it was the most realistic and deepest depiction of grief that I have ever felt. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, I'm going out looking for grief movies right now. I heard that this film was brilliant in what it does. When I watched it, it was something so different to anything that I've seen before in the way he portrays the characters' feelings, their relationships, the development of the story, which is so deliberately slow. I think it reflects the process of grieving so well, because grieving is not a universal process. Even in a family, two people who are seemingly as close to a person who has died as each other will grieve in different ways. And when you are watching Maborosi, the story of Yumiko, a wife and a mother who has to deal with the seemingly sudden suicide of her longtime partner and husband, Ikuo. Spend the first part of the movie getting to know Yumiko and Ikuo, the dynamics of their relationship, how they interact with each other. This is a movie which would really benefit from a second viewing, because obviously I knew the subject matter going into it, but focus is really on Yumiko and her love for her husband, for her son. She deals with something earlier in the movie which she is obviously carrying with her, but when we join her in the first act of the movie, she seems very happy and very content. Ikuo always seems a little bit distant, not silent by any means, but a little bit distant, a little bit less enthusiastic. And then at the end of the first act, Ikuo does indeed take his own life. We never actually see the immediate aftermath of Ikuo's death. And we then join Yumiko and her son 5 years later when she's about to remarry. The remainder of the film is an exploration of a woman who is trying to move forward in life, but she is always haunted by this cloud, this question of why. Why did this happen? Why did this happen to him? Why did this happen to her? The way these questions and these feelings are presented to us is so intelligent. The use of long, wide-angle, static shots. Watching a character, even when there's other people around, who feels completely alone and isolated in the moment. Even when she wants to move forward, because the trauma that she has gone through is only her own. Even her son doesn't understand. He was just a baby when this happened, so he never knew his father. So she is experiencing and dealing with this completely alone. And there are a lot of shots which seem to go on for so long. And I think that's so reflective for anyone who's ever lost anyone, of those moments that you just sit there and you let your mind run away. She's not particularly doing anything. We are watching her not do anything particularly interesting. She's cleaning the stairs, eating some food quietly. In her mind, the types of things that she is thinking about, that is what I feel those scenes are trying to represent. For the first period of this new stage of her life, you can tell that she is keeping a lot inside. She's holding a lot back. Only when she goes back to her hometown, back to where she lived, a lot of these questions resurface, and the rest of the movie is her openly trying to deal with what has happened, to terms with what has happened, to try and find some sort of closure. And ultimately, the question that we are left with at the end of the film is, has she been successful in doing that? It's a beautiful movie visually. It's very dark. It's very bleak. There are moments of hope, particularly represented through the children. But ultimately, what we are doing is watching the depiction of a woman who is grieving something that she doesn't fully understand. And for that reason, I think if you're into this type of movie, if you're into the slow burn, if you want to emotionally deep dive into something, Maborosi, 1995, directed by Hirokazu Kore-eda, is definitely worth your time.